Hi, welcome everyone. Good evening for me, and good day to whoever might be listening. We'll be going into the. I forgot to check what round of the losers bracket, but in any case, we're going into another game of the Jigoku Invitational. It will be Dishonor Phoenix against Dual Crane. Not the most common matchup. Definitely a newer deck against, I think, the oldest deck in L5R existence. Yeah, sorry. Sometimes I forget that I'm streaming. We're just waiting for both of them to finally start this game. Spaniards taking their time, as usual. We're grabbing some. Let me check. Oh, it's only losers round 3. Winner of this goes against Suka. And then we have Coaches versus Keikori in the losers brackets. And in winners we have Ignitas versus Dirty Deeds. Alright, we have begun. So, okay. Djincitto opening up with, as first player, opening up with 4 drop and 3 fate. Pretty standard stuff. A duelist with Proving Ground and Kakita Dojo, and then the Esteemed Tea House to finish it off, plus the Fable Ground. Generally a really good first turn. I think replacing the Fable Ground with Daidoji, I forgot the name, but the disguise character would probably have been top. Especially a start with draw against Dishonor Phoenix is pretty good. And 3DCube opening up with the student and Valiant Oathkeeper. Oathkeeper is an interesting include. It's fairly stat efficient. If you still want the attacker, as a Dishonor deck, I don't know, in most rounds, maybe you'd rather have the Peacemaker, the 1-cost 4 one that can't attack. But if you need a flexible, still able to do offensive threat, the Keeper is fine, I guess. It's just general unpolitical, it won't exactly be needed. You have stuff for Naive Student for that. Okay, so the Magistrate decides to scout military into province first. Or what about the Naive Student? Blocking here would have been might have been fine. It would have we would have had the Kakita Dojo activation. Although the Dojo activation kind of hampers the Cunning Negotiator action possibly, because then Djincitto has to bid up to be able to activate that ability. And of course the play here, sadly, for 3DCube is actually to wait. Save up on Fate for them as well. And then a passive strategy like this really favors something like like I say strategy, but I mean a passive situation where you kind of need to wait what Crane is going to do favors something like Shiba Tsukune that we see in the row, which indeed 3DCube keeps. The Iron Warrior isn't going to do much this turn. Diplomat is of course not bad. Yeah, Kage, that was the name I was looking for. Decided to keep the dojo, which I don't really agree with in the end. The Phoenix characters, at least as we currently see them, don't really matter if they can't use abilities. A lot of them are end of round or a very specific conflict. Are you going to hold the dojo for that conflict? And they could trigger on first action defense. So I don't know if the dojo was really the card to keep there. See Diplomat be pop and brings in Pursuit and on the other side Rally to the Cause. That's a pretty decent reveal. Nice and attackable province. Here comes Tsukune with 4 Fate. Secluded Shrine and Water, that's a pretty easy pick, especially because it was the only attacked ring last round. Not usually what you see happening turn 1, but it's sort of stifled the offense of the naive student, so it kind of protected Crane against a lot. Of course, the Cunning Negotiator still could have come in and dueled with the Fabled Ground back then, but that would deny any sort of defense against the Oathkeeper attack. Okay, we see a fan be equipped to Tsukune. Might see fire attacked. That would I would have to check what the amount of noble sacrifices in the opponent's deck. And whether 3DCube needs to consider that. Banzai being traded for Katana here. See the card games. If I'm Crane, I might even take the Iron Warrior here. As a noble sacrifice target, but in 3 cards might not be there. Tsukune and Political is such a weird choice. Like, you have full flexibility on your board and then you choose to send the court games, the character that loses hardest against court games, into the political conflict. Okay. Harpoon comes in from 3DCube after the Gunbar duel. So slowing down Crane, although they definitely can make more than enough headway with just Kageu. I do understand that Political was maybe the first attack 3DCube wanted to do, because it denies Kageu's ability unless Crane wants to give up Kageu as a disguised character, and Djincitto is probably going to favor the tempo a lot more here. Now a very aggressive play here, assassinating the 0 cost unit just to gain unopposed and some tempo, we'll definitely see fire be attacked and then we'll resolve void and air with Sukuna. Although I'm not sure. It's quite an aggressive. There's still the Kageu. It's quite an aggressive play with no clear tempo advantage. Now that I think back on it, like you still can't defend against. I would have rather seen a Pursuit of Justice attack at this point, but yeah, the court games play was weird. We see Kageo activate for one card, Kireko, and then the Pursuit of Justice on the enemy water province. That's a big brain right there. The Drio might actually be able to win this conflict. Okay, Djincitto actually decides to let it break, let him resolve void. Runs into Kurimagi. It might actually be beneficial to turn it into fire. Although that would give Djincitto more fate, so. Even with the secluded shrine, favor will still be in Djincitto's court. Yeah, 3DCube has a bit of a... Yeah, and it's definitely not useful to go fire hands because you want to triggered on Sukune for sure. But yeah, Honor definitely swung into Djincitto's favor. If they want to draw off it, they might actually be able to. Now, is this row bad enough for 3DCube to say I'm going to use a season? I might... Okay, Dreamer deciding that fire is what's going to happen. With the Hotaru attack, that might just be very much the case, although... I mean, the Fate is a lot. But I'm not sure if Fate is what Djincitto really needs here. But considering the sizable board on the Phoenix side, just taking away a lot of power from there, this turn is viable. Potentially make this the only attack, so the Pure Heart doesn't trigger, and then you can do a really good attack on the Stronghold. Decides to go Earth instead. Into Fertile Field. Yeah, and 3DCube saying, well, that's not really something I can overcome. And Fertile Fields negates part of the double Earth Ring here. Of course, not everything. For shame and Magistrate's Intervention. Both very good cards in the matchup. I don't expect any sort of move-in trick right now from Djincitto. And the Iron Warrior isn't a duelist, so there's not going to be a bow as part of the dojo activation. Okay, Banzai, defend your honor, is bid into the... is bid to resolve the Banzai, but Daido loses enough honor that they can't. They can't resolve the Banzai again, and after let go, lose the conflict. And well, yeah, Djincitto can't attack a second time either way, so now we can just see a... I mean, water doesn't really matter, and you're going to resolve void and air either way. So I think we'll just see a simple attack, pass. Resolve void and air. Void removing the Iron Warrior is great for next turn. Choose to get rid of the dojo, which is fine. Honor's reward wasn't going to do much. Able to trigger the spice at court, because well, no assassination is going to come. That was an assassination enough. Let's just say it's good that Kune is here to straighten out the honor values a bit. Might even take 2 with the airing. Yeah. Well, taking favor and going into next turn. Definitely under some pressure when it comes to the stronghold. We also know it's the abandoning honor on the crane, on the Phoenix stronghold, so that's not going to do a lot. So, quite the Phoenix Inquisitor force that it has assembled against the Cranes right now. Is Void the correct attack here? It all depends kind of what what 3DCube drew here. Does he have a magistrate intervention? Else I would maybe like to see, would have liked to see him fire. Although the void attack looks like a bit of a throwaway, which, given the situation and that he's facing down an attack against a 5 stronghold province, which isn't going to do much, is understandable. Okay, Djincitto deciding, yeah. Djincitto mainly saying, well, my political attack is going to be rather important here. And I'm not sure if I agree that they can win it. It would depend entirely on maybe it would depend entirely on something like duelist training, because currently the political power just isn't quite there. 3DCube for some reason decides to draw off of Shirogisu after the Void Ring. That's probably a decent reason for Void, but you know. Okay, so Miyako comes in, replaces the Pure Heart, dishonors the challenger. Oh, sorry, it's this other shrine. I forgot whether they. No, that's true, they did change, but I forgot when that change happened. It it currently puts the conflict deck or the dynasty deck in, and it gives some information on what could be in Djincitto's hand. There's no more let go, for example. Okay, we start with the military conflict. I do assume there is like one return the offense here. Let's take a look. There's no more defend your honors. There's still a chance at a voice of honor, but that chance is always fairly low, but I would play around it possibly. .3DCube taking a good time trying to plan out how everything is going to work. The Inquisitor ability on Challenger would currently only be 1 power. On Kageu could potentially work. The thing with the Inquisitor ability in this sort of situation is, well, if the bowing matters, then the fate likely isn't going to matter. But in this situation where he just activates it as the first thing, I can't quite tell. I would hesitate to guess that the fate actually matters. So in this case, it's probably the correct decision for Djincitto. There's a return the offense. I mean, that had to be likely given that there's 0 in the... And I mean, yeah, you're not going to be able to bid into it, so think the only thing 3DCube can really hope for is that there is not a second one. Wait, the target was Doji Challenger and not Hot. Okay. Oh, it was just to honor it. And then Hawk Tattoo for the supposed lethal. Okay. And yeah, there's nothing for... There's nothing for... for 3DCube to fight over anymore. Alright. That is specifically 3DCube out of the tournament. We'll have Djincitto fight Zuko in the next round. And there's Ignitas versus Dirty Deeds and Coaches versus Kikori. Alright. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time. Cheers.